In the last episode, we saw how the poor communication between Ryan and Maria, accompanied with the different ways of dealing with grief, set the stage for Maria to outsource the fulfillment of some of her emotional needs to someone else other than Ryan. In this episode, we will learn about how the lack of a clear, healthy, and agreed upon definition of infidelity can cause someone to step over the boundaries of exclusivity expected by their partners. We will also see how not having a clear definition impacts how partners deal with the discovery of crossing those boundaries, as well as their ability to learn and recover from it in a healthy way. Let's take a look. After sharing the situation with Destin, right? Did the two of you see it as infidelity at that point in time? Or did you guys see it as something else?
I didn't, because nothing happened.
Okay. So let's start with this. What is your definition of infidelity?
Lying about things, hiding things. I mean, I wasn't hiding the relationship between the two of us, and then when we actually spent the time together, it got to be a little bit more than, like, I realized what I was doing. And that was when I brought it to him. I'm like, hey, this is what happened. You know, nothing physical happened, but this is what happened. So I didn't feel like it was unfaithfulness.
Okay.
Like, for me, I've thought a lot about that, because that was something that Ryan said, is, well, you were unfaithful to me, and I've never not been faithful to him. I've never not been with him. You know, I've got my mark, you know, my wedding band, I wear his last name, you know, I'm with him, and that matters to me.
Sure.
It's never been unfaithful in that sense in my heart and my head.
Okay. So I'll tell you what I hear you say in terms of how you're defining infidelity. And again, whether this is in the past or the current definition, right?
Mm-hmm.
So along the lines of infidelity for you falls under the category of the things that I would do in secret, the things that I would do in hiding.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main aspect of what constitutes infidelity for you. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was this the past definition or also the current definition?
At that moment, I didn't, nothing happened between the two of us. I shared his bed, but there was no inappropriate, over-the-line context.
Okay. But I guess, you know, again, the definition that we just shared, this is current as well as past of how you see what's constitute fidelity and infidelity.
Sure.
Okay, and if it's not, push back, please.
I don't know how to quantify it for you, so,
Okay.
and that's,
But so far what I'm
Yeah.
saying is accurate. If there's other facet to it, feel free. That will come up later.
yeah.
Okay. How do you define infidelity?
I don't. The lying and the hiding and the cheating part, yeah, that's truly.
Okay.
What happened with her and Dustin? I don't know as if it felt like she cheated on me or what at the time. I don't know how to. In my head, yeah, at the time, yeah. She had crossed the line to being unfaithful. Being.
Okay. So what is your definition of infidelity?
Apparently, I'm more straight-laced than her when it comes to infidelity. It is lying, hiding, cheating. It's the acts that are within that lying, hiding, and cheating too, like kissing and some of the stuff that gets shared. Yeah, to me that's awful close to it. I mean, that's awful close to cheating in my opinion, but everybody's definitions.
Sure. So it's a free country, right? But at the end of the day, when you're in a partnership, it is important to see if the two of you are aligned in that part, right?
Yeah.
So this is a part where we cannot say we'll agree to disagree. You have your definition, I have my definition, and somehow we'll have a happy, satisfactory relationship, right? But I'm still trying to figure out how close and how different your definition is than hers, because if it's just based on anything goes as long as we're honest about it and not being, and then it's not hidden, that's...
No, it's not anything goes as long as we're honest about it. I mean, I'm more, hey, this is between you and I. There isn't outside.
Okay. So meaning that there are some things that you expect to be exclusive to the two of you and not for anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay. Physical, emotional, both?
More important, point blank physical. That should be between the two of us. Like, kissing, touching, no, that doesn't, to me right there, that doesn't equate to being faithful. That's not, to me, that's not.
Okay. That's me. That's where I'm at, that's the emotional fine. If you're great friends with somebody, okay, I can see it. I can see going to them for support and going to them for comfort, but no, the kissing, cuddling in the same bed, no, that's over the top, point blank, crossing the line for me. Okay. So along the line of if there is any exclusivity, it's related to physical interaction, but you don't expect any emotional exclusivity from her.
Would I like to know that the passion and the trust area is between her and I is very point blank exclusive? Yes, I would.
So you do expect emotional exclusivity from her as well?
Not like totality of, hey, you're the only one I'm going to say I love you to. It's more like, hey, can you at least turn to me first before you decide to seek it outside?
Okay, but again, that's still, and I'm pushing on this one because that's a big, part of with the issue of the past as well as the present as well as in terms of the future, right? Is it I'm okay with other people filling these needs as long as I become the primary person and these people become secondary?
On the emotional aspect of it? Yeah, I'm okay with that. As long as I'm the primary one that she comes to and she can talk to, and then we can communicate between one another. Okay.
Okay. On the emotional aspect. So there is no exclusivity there. It's an issue of
Stop.
priority.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the physical aspect?
That one, I'd prefer it to stay between her and I. Period.
Okay.
That's my thing right now, is I would rather it stay between her and I.
Okay. So your definition include physical exclusivity, but emotional exclusivity there is none. It's really more of a priority.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is this the definition that you have now, or have you had this definition prior to the Dustin incident?
Honestly, it was prior to it.
Okay.
It was more along the lines of I knew that she had turned to her friends to get for help to talk to because she missed home and whatnot.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I had it with Dustin was, okay, he needed that support. He was a friend from home.
Okay. So you didn't have a problem with that part?
No, it was
Okay.
when it went over and above, instead of turning to me, it was more rolling more and more to Dustin than what it was to me, is where you're the line.
Okay. So that means that there was an emotional part of this where you felt that this should be for me only, or me only first.
Yeah, like why weren't you turning to me first and then,
Okay.
but that kind of is in retrospect now to a point where I can see it.
So what do you think about his definition?
He sort of contradicted himself.
Okay. Elaborate.
I'm okay with it so long as I'm the primary. Well, open your eyes, you've always been the primary. And I've showed you that over and over and over again. I want to talk to you first. I want to be with you first. I want... That's the reason why we're sitting here, is I want the safety to be that with you. And instead of working on giving me that safety, it's, well, you did wrong. So I expect to be first, but I'm not going to do anything to earn it. And you're not okay with the emotional connections. And honestly, there's no way that you can be. You can't sit here and say it's okay for you to have the emotional connections with other people, because for me, that emotional connection is what leads to wanting a physical connection. So how do I do one thing without the other? That's literally why we're here, is why there's double standards everywhere. This is okay, but this isn't, but it's the same thing. You asked me the same question, and there's two right answers, and no matter which way it goes, the wrong answer.
Your response?
Why does it emotionally have to go that far? Why does it have to go that far past me? If you're working so hard to make sure that we work, why does it have to go outside of us?
First of all, is she right about you not being honest with yourself about how you feel about the emotional part? Forget about the sexual part, right? Because we're all saying that there's a connect between the emotional and sexual, but the sexual part on the back burner.
Right.
What I'm trying to figure out is what kind of relationship contract we had, right? And was that clear to you? Was that clear to her?
There wasn't really a relationship contract.
Okay. But what I
In
mean,
my eyes, but
even it doesn't mean that we actually took the time and wrote down a contract implicitly what the two of you expected from one another, because that's going to help us see if what happened with this, Destin, was this infidelity, was that something else, because how the two of you handled that also had some consequences on the future events.
yeah.
Infidelity as a construct can be very difficult to define, due to the fact that we all come from different backgrounds and personal experiences that shapes what we view as appropriate behavior in a committed relationship. Emotional infidelity is even more challenging to define, because we don't often rely exclusively on just our significant others to fulfill all of our emotional needs. Healthy emotional reciprocity can take place in relationships with friends, colleagues, and mentors. Failing to have clear boundaries of emotional exclusivities with others is likely to lead to emotional and sexual affairs.
With what happened in the past with Dustin
Okay.
and the emotional connection, and I didn't see it as a bad thing when she first started talking to him, because she needed a friend to talk to. He needed somebody to talk to, because what her and her folks went through with their divorce was something that she could help Dustin with his divorce.
Okay.
And it was, she could help Dustin, and she needed a friend. Well, okay.
Okay. Appropriate friendship.
Yeah, it was,
Okay.
I was okay with it.
Okay.
She said I love you bye to damn near everybody that she knew when I knew her. Okay, fine.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm not big on saying I love you bye to a whole lot of people. It's not me.
Okay.
Um,
So far still coloring within the lines, right?
yeah, it was fine right up until she started not talking to me about issues, and then I would go to Dustin, and it was more of a carry that way.
Okay. Which mean, again, the way you describe this, there is a part of this where you feel that this is mine and mine only, that you should have given to Dustin or anybody else.
Okay. Yeah.
No, but you're the only one who knows. I mean, I can only...
No,
And I'm pushing for a reason, not because I'm trying to be mean, but I think it's a good point of clarity, because again, as you heard, there is confusion, there is the appearance of double standards, and I think it stems, the sooner we get clarity to how you feel about this, that's going to guide the process. And don't worry about what she wants to hear. I think we all, we can't afford to say, okay, we want to just say that the answer that will just keep this going, even though there is something else that goes in the opposite direction, because that's not going to do you guys any good.
yeah. No, it's the extreme emotional connections I'm most worried about, is that if she gets that far involved with somebody else again, well, we're going to be battling through the same thing all over again. And I didn't know how to handle it. I still don't know how to handle it. So that's, yeah, I'm very apprehensive about it now.
Okay. But again, to answer my question about the exclusive emotional aspect that you need from her, what is that? And think again, prior to the Dustin situation, because the Dustin situation registered as infidelity for you. Not everything in that. There's some aspect of that, right? That felt like that you're being unfaithful to me, or you're, whether close, bordering the line. And I think again, if you didn't see any problem with it, you wouldn't have came back and told him about it. So we know it was some kind of a problem. So which part of that you expected that should be me and me only and not anybody else?
I'm her partner. I'm the one that she should be turning to. I'm the one that she should be talking to. I'm the one that should be the one there to take care of her, to handle her, to be emotional support for her. She shouldn't need to go outside to another person and do it. I don't know how else to answer besides that it should be
Perfect. What do you think about his answer? What do you hear him say, and what do you think about what you heard him say?
It's that right there was a chronic problem between the two of us. I'm going to talk around it and talk around it and talk around it until you tell me what the right answer is.
Yeah.
And I get frustrated and I'm like, just stop. This is what you mean. You just won't say it. I don't feel like he answered you.
Okay.
Because you said yes or no. This.
So you feel like there's still no clarity in terms of what he said?
He wants me to be my primary for everything. Okay, hello, you are.
Okay, maybe this was missing. And again, the only person who would know is you. And I know this is not easy because sometimes it's not clear cut, right? Maybe for you, if I'm the primary, if I'm truly the primary, then you wouldn't need anybody else.
yes.
Okay. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Which equal to what? Equal to really, in a perfect world, I don't want you to be relying on anybody else other than me. And if you're going to be relying on anybody else in addition to that, it would not be because I'm not adequate. It would be extra. It would be bonus. It would be, yeah, I'm the one who's there for you during that loss, and I'm the person that you're leaning on, right? But here's an additional person who can provide support, not because I'm not doing my job, right? But that also, if you look at it that way, it is a roundabout way to say, really, just me and not anybody else. And if there's room for anybody else, it would be minimal, not in the same capacity that I would do. So really, in a sense, is I'm expecting emotional exclusivity. That, to me, that's what that translates into, unless I'm wrong on this.
Quit dodging. Quit hiding. Speak up.
Give him the opportunity. He's a grown man and you're a grown woman, right? We're all adults.
I'm not intending to be like pushy.
No worries.
He's hesitant.
No worries.
I know the relationship she's got with a great many people. Some of them I'm comfortable with, some of them I'm not. The relationship that she's got with Dustin right now, I'm comfortable with it. There's another one or two that, no, I'm not comfortable with, because all of a sudden her anxieties in a different direction, feeding her problems in a different direction, avoiding problems. So, yeah, I'm okay with some of the relations that she has, because close friends are close friends. You don't lose them. You have a bond with them. I understand that.
Okay.
There's close, and then there's over the line close.
Okay.
And she's had over the line close.
Okay. And the over the line close is what?
Is pushing the boundaries past friends,
Okay.
well past friends.
Into what territory?
Um,
Because we cannot just say it's physical, right? Because the physical part is clear cut,
Yeah.
right? There
It's-
is an emotional over the line for you. And I'm
More
trying to
like
figure-
she's claimed him as another partner. And that's the problem right there, is it's pushing them towards being another partner for her,
So again,
instead of being,
that translates into I'm expecting you, right, to rely on me for fulfilling, the majority of your emotional needs, right? I understand that in friendships they play an emotional role, but there are certain aspects where I really think it should be me and me only, and not anybody
Yeah.
else.
there's people
Right.
you go and vent to, and you get your problem off your chest, and then that's it. They give you feedback, you vent to them, that's a friend.
Okay.
It's where you just, and then you, I should finish my thought.
Yeah.
You go and vent to them, dump your problems on them, and then you come back and you fix what you've got. Instead of going there and dumping your problems and then emotionally getting comfort there, just being comforted there instead of coming and trying to fix what you've got back
Perfect.
here.
Perfect. What do you think? What do you hear him say first?
He thinks that me having that outlet is not fixing the problems, and that's not true.
Okay.
Me having that outlet and that support is what's kept me going this long.
Okay. What about the exclusivity piece? Is it becoming clear to you what kind of exclusivity he had historically expected from you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And to be fair, I've always tried to give that to him, and that's caused a lot of personality conflict in my own emotions and my own mind of, well, this is what he wants from you. Why can't you do this? What's the matter with you? Why do you do this? Why do you
Now remember,
need more? Well, again, with you want to be that only person, but every time I try to let you be that person, it blows up.
perfect. So along the line of what? I don't have a problem with the kind of exclusivity you ask of me, but if you really want that, give me what I need to actually adhere to it, pay the sticker price for that kind of exclusivity. Right? Because you can't just say, hire me for the job, but don't show up for it. Okay. So, bringing this back to the Dustin situation. Before that happened, were you aware that this was the type of exclusivity that he expected from you back then?
I expected it of myself.
Not only that, I know that this was the type of exclusivity he expected of me before the Dustin situation, but also this is what I expected from myself as well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But because I had those needs were not being met, and here was the opportunity, or a situation where, vulnerability was high, right?
Mhm.
And that became an outlet for me to fulfill those needs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if we're following the same bolt here, we're saying, okay, part of the definition of fidelity for him and also for yourself, it sounds like, was some kind of exclusivity, right? As it pertained to the emotional things, and that was outsourced to somebody else, right? Regardless of the reason why. it fits the breach of contract.
Mhm.
Is that fair for me to say?
Yeah.
Okay. So in a sense, we can call it infidelity because it was expected. Now, there is a reason why it was not honored, and the reasons are important. Fair?
Doesn't feel that way.
Elaborate.
You did wrong. Yeah, I did. Okay.
You hearing me saying that you did wrong?
That's how it feels. Is like, I know you're validating the reasons behind it. And again, at the time of Dustin, I didn't realize what I was doing. Like, a lot of this is retrospect.
Sure. And I appreciate you sharing that with me, and I'm trying to find that balance too, because again, I want to be authentic with you and not tell you what you want to hear, right? Just to spare your feelings, but also I don't want to ignore your feelings, right? So we have to find that balance.
Yeah, it's hard because, like, listening to the book, it's like I have to listen to it as the unfaithful and the victim, and it's preconditioning, I guess, on my part that, well, you're the one that cheated, and like sitting here going through all of this, well, golly, you cheated here, you cheated here, you cheated here, you cheated here, and I'm just like trying to find the validation that I'm not the problem.
So here's how I attempt to balance it. And this is like a lose-lose situation for the therapist anyway, right? Because each side you go, right?
Right.
Somebody's gonna get mad. But I always say I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to do a job.
I don't know.
And the betrayed usually doesn't like hearing this too. And again, the two, you're able to have both hats on in a sense. Infidelity doesn't happen out of nowhere, right? So yes, that the unfaithful have a full responsibility of the action that they took, but there's an accountability piece of the reason that led to it. Because again, at the end of the day, everything happened for a reason. So this is not an issue, well, you're the bad guy, you're the one who did all the wrong choices. There's many opportunities, and again, we haven't even got the full story of the history of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There have been multiple opportunities on his end to intervene, to act differently, to provide something different, where maybe this could have been prevented.
Right.
Is that fair for me to say?
Extremely fair.
Okay. So even though, if I'm highlighting this on your end, that doesn't mean, well, you're the problem, you're the one of the issues. Like I said, it takes two to not only have a dysfunction, but to keep this dysfunction going on longer.
Right.
Fair?
Mm-hmm.
That's as far as where I can meet you in that part, right? And I know intellectually you know where I'm coming from, but it doesn't change the fact that this is how it feels. And I completely understand that.
Right.
But I have to kind of repeat it just to keep us on track.
Mm-hmm.
Fair?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, there are no good guys, there's no bad guys, there are good people in bad situations. That's how I always see it, regardless of, who made this many mistakes with this many mistakes. At the end of the day, really, we focus on the dysfunction.
But yeah.
Fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're comfortable calling that situation with Dustin as infidelity.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what happened, right? After you shared that with him, how did that change the relationship? What new problems introduced?
I quit talking to Dustin.
By choice?
That's what he needed.
Okay.
I walked away because our relationship was more important than anything else. So, and that was the point of telling him was, hey, I have to be honest with you. I have to share this with you. I want it to be okay with you because nothing happened.
Okay.
And at the time, it wasn't so much of a seeking permission kind of thing. It was, hey, this happened. I realize this is outside of what you would be comfortable with. That's why I'm telling you about it.
Okay.
I guess for me, it was kind of more of a trust builder of no matter what happens, I'm going to tell you.
Okay. Well, what's another reason why you decided to tell him? Because it's usually people discover something like this where it's very rare for somebody to go on record to say, hey, by the way, I'm going to share with you something that's going to make you uncomfortable, right? So I'm trying to figure out, there must have been some other, motivations behind wanting to share that with him. In addition to, I don't feel good about what I did, right? And I think you need to know. Because that was part of it.
Mm-hmm. I want the ability to just be myself and not have it be a threat. And I want that person to be him. I've always wanted that person to be him. So, again, I've been curious. I have a lot of dominant and submissive friends that are in the lifestyle.
Okay.
And that's the number one thing is you have to trust who you're with. You have to be honest.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is you have to be honest. And that's really a really strong core value for me is you have to be honest.
Okay.
And to have the level of trust and the depth that I live at,
Yeah.
It might be really weird, it might be really strange, but that's legitimately what it was, is, hey, this happened and I need you to know about it because
So along the line,
I feel this way.
that you have to be true to yourself, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like more of the congruency thing. This is how I hold the standards that I hold myself to in terms of honesty in a relationship, and I would be dishonest. I would not be living up to that standards if I know this happened and did not share it with you.
Right.
Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there any part of this I want to bring up to your attention because that's an indication of we need to do something different in our relationship so this won't happen again?
Not really.
Okay.
Not at that point. I didn't connect the dots still.
Okay.
The big aha moments in the dot connecting has been way more recently with a different relationship
Okay.
and
Okay.
explorations.
But so it sounds really the driving factor during that time is that being consistent to the type of relationship that I want to have, which is honesty regardless of how
It doesn't
upsetting
matter how
it is.
bad it hurts.
Okay.
Let's have this level between us because this is me trusting you
And see how you're going to react, right?
by telling you, hey, I fucked up, but I'm still coming back to you and saying, hey, I fucked up.
Yep. And what are you going to do with that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
don't use it as a stick to
Okay.
hold against me. It's because, oh, hey, you're right. You might have done something, but you at least told me about it, and we worked through it.
Okay. Did he react to it in a way that you expected or unexpected?
He was hurt.
Okay.
It wasn't volatile.
Okay.
We were outside in the garden,
Okay.
and I trying to recall. I can see it, but I can't hear the words anymore.
No worries. But again, it ended with having to end the relationship with Dustin. Now, did you resent him for that, or did you feel like, okay, no, this is the right thing to do?
At that point, I was just like, okay, this is what I've got to do right now. This is my atonement, fine, whatever, And,
Okay.
and I do have a relationship with Dustin now, and I still have the depth and the connection with him. I just don't talk to him a whole lot anymore because and Ryan and him have mended fences, and they talk actually more than Dustin and I talk anymore.
So when you say you saw it as an atonement, it appears as if that I really didn't think that I should have changed my interaction with them, but I needed to do it because that's what you're supposed to do. Is that accurate?
Now, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, that was what I was expected to do is, okay, well, this crossed the line, so that relationship needs to go away, so it's just us two.
Okay.
And if it had happened the same way again, I think that with Dustin, the depth of the connection wasn't there, so it didn't like really, it bugged me,
Okay.
but it didn't like overwhelm me to just be like, okay, if that's what Ryan needs, whatever, you know, I can put it down and walk away.
Okay.
So I guess atonement would be the wrong word because, like I said, him and I are still friends,
Okay.
and you know, the whole new relationship energy thing and all of that. Yeah, I was really emotionally involved with him for a little while, and I love him dearly and deeply, but knowing what I know now about him and the kind of person that he is outside of that crisis mode that we were in, I made a better choice.
When we listen to Maria and Ryan attempt to define what infidelity means to each of them, we notice two things. One, Maria's definition of infidelity was limited to simply being honest rather than any kind of emotional or sexual exclusivity. And two, Ryan's definition was extremely vague, especially when it comes to defining emotional infidelity. Another interpretation of Ryan's and Maria's difficulty in developing clear boundaries can be seen as a reflection of their anxiety about coming to the conclusion that the lines of exclusivity that they want from one another are not actually compatible. Not having clear boundaries made it easier for Maria to blur the lines of friendship with Dustin during vulnerable times. Having a loose definition of emotional infidelity, or being okay with not having emotional exclusivity, put Maria in a double bind of allowing her to explore and develop strong emotional connection while simultaneously not being allowed to develop physical or sexual attraction. Lastly, I want you to think about how failing to call what happened with Dustin as infidelity and seeing the decision of modifying her relationship with him as atonement set the stage for more dysfunction in the relationship. Until then, be well, be safe, and embrace the possibility for a brighter future.